One of the most beloved characters in the Bluey series is Jean-Luc. We all love him, but have you ever noticed that he might not be happy at all? Many years. Do you know how long Jean-Luc had to go without talking to Bluey? It was probably more than 6 years, since when they see each other again in the future, the show makes it seem like they are 12 years old. Bluey and the Labrador in that scene look about the same size as Mia and Captain in the episode Barky Boats. The 6 years that the friends spent apart were probably very sad for Jean-Luc, and he missed his friend a lot because, as we're going to show you today, it's possible that his life isn't very good where he lives. If you like Jean-Luc, then get ready for one of the most special videos on our channel, because it's time to talk a lot about this character. Are you ready? Because another amazing Cinewave is starting now. Language. Jean-Luc lives in Canada, a country that speaks 2 languages, English and French, and based on what the show revealed, the Black Labrador most likely lives in the Quebec region, the place in that country where French is spoken the most. Of course, at first this wasn't a problem between him and Bluey. Kids who just want to play can understand each other, but everything creates problems, and the language did become a barrier. He probably didn't feel very good knowing that he didn't speak the same language as a close friend he made, which is why Jean-Luc learned to speak English just to talk to Bluey. The official website even mentions this information. Also, in the scene where the two share their final hug, Jean-Luc even tells the main character that he won't be there the next day, and unfortunately Bluey didn't understand. See, the language barrier was a problem here, and if the little dog learned a new language because of Bluey, that means he felt really good around her, and at the same time, it could mean that his life in Canada isn't that joyful. Let's be honest, countries with sunnier weather and fun days where kids can play outside without too much worry have a much higher chance of being happier. Goodbye. If you watched Jean-Luc's episode, you noticed that he didn't say goodbye to Bluey at the end of the weekend when they met. He only said in French that he wouldn't be there the next day, something Bluey didn't understand. And this scene is one of the saddest in the episode, because it makes it clear that he was unhappy about having to leave. But it's strange that the little dog didn't try harder to make it clear to Bluey that he was going away. Why did he do that? Did he hope he could convince his parents to stay? Or maybe he was planning something else? We'll never know. But it's strange that Jean-Luc couldn't properly say goodbye. Chili tells her daughter that the little dog and his parents left very early and that Bluey was still sleeping. Chili didn't want to wake Bluey up to say goodbye to her friend, and that unfortunately was their last moment together. And why did Chili do that? It's simple. Bluey needed to sleep. It's important for kids her age not to have their sleep interrupted. It's a shame, but it was the right thing to do. Character. Now, there's another thing that's very sad about Jean-Luc, but it actually has more to do with the fans than with the character. Let's be honest. The little dog is one of the most loved in the series, but where is he? Do you understand how this is super sad? Jean-Luc appeared in only a single episode of season 1. More than 100 episodes came after that, and to this day, no one has forgotten him. There are many people who like this character much more than dogs who have had way more screen time. One example is Winton. It's easier to find someone who is more of a fan of Jean-Luc than a fan of Winton. Maybe it was a mistake to make Jean-Luc a Canadian dog, because when he left, we lost his presence in all the other episodes, even until now. Be honest, do you miss Jean-Luc? It would be so much better if he lived in the same city as Bluey. Would you like to see Jean-Luc more often in the series? Comment the hashtag Jean-Luc so we can connect. Schedule. And you might think there's a way for Jean-Luc to live in Canada and still appear more in the series. Nowadays, friends can talk even while living in different parts of the world. The internet is here for that, right? Not exactly. The truth is that even with the internet, there is a big problem that makes Jean-Luc's life very sad. Bluey City is in Brisbane, Australia, while Jean-Luc lives in Quebec, Canada. And if you do a quick search, you'll find out that there are more than 14 hours of difference between these places. In other words, if it's 8 a.m. in Jean-Luc's city, it will be almost midnight in Bluey's city. While one is waking up, the other is going to sleep. They can't talk over the computer like in the episode Facey Talk between Bluey and Muffin. And do you remember that Chili didn't wake Bluey up to say goodbye to Jean-Luc because her daughter needed to sleep? And you probably also remember that Bluey and Bingo have a bedtime. In other words, they can't talk over the computer, which is why the two friends can't communicate. French. Here's an interesting curiosity. In the French dub of the series, Jean-Luc is speaking English, which makes perfect sense since for kids who speak that language, the character needed to speak a different one. And we're only talking about this because we have an important question. Why isn't Bluey trying to speak French? As we've already said, Jean-Luc studies hard to learn Bluey's language, which is English. He does this because he wants to talk to his best friend. But as you already know, More than 100 episodes have passed since Jean-Luc first appeared in the series, and you've never seen Bluey trying to learn how to speak like her friend, right? The truth is that Bluey never forgot her friend, as we can see in the drawing she made of him that is on the wall of the Healer house. In the episode Bingo, you can see the painting she made of her friend next to her. But is Jean-Luc the only one putting effort into keeping their friendship alive? Heat. Did you know that Australia's heat can be a problem for Jean-Luc? The truth is that the Labrador breed is very common in cold countries, but in extreme heat, it might not be a good thing. Yes, Labradors can live in hot places, but they prefer the cold. And if Bluey follows that example, it's possible that Jean-Luc might not want to live in Australia. This fact isn't that sad because, as we explained, he can live in the heat. But does he want to? It's a mystery that the series needs to answer. After all, they need to build a relationship, right? Goodbye. At the end of the episode Camping, we see that the two friends meet again after 6 years. And up to that point, everything is fine. Jean-Luc already speaks Bluey's language, and the tree they planted has grown and become very beautiful. But who said that this reunion will be a good thing? At 12 years old, as teacher Calypso already explained in the episode Barky Boats, that age makes certain feelings explode, like the love between Mia and Captain. Jean-Luc is back in Australia, but that episode doesn't make it clear if he will live in Brisbane from then on. In other words, it's very possible that they will have to say goodbye again. After all, their reunion happens in the same field where they were spending their vacation. It's very possible that Jean-Luc was just on another school vacation, but afterward he would have to leave again. And yes, this is very sad, not only because of the goodbye, but also because of the next reason on our list.
Subscribing to the channel is just as good as watching your favorite animations. Shall we click?
Plane. Did you know that the distance between Bluey's city and Jean-Luc's city is more than 9,700 miles? A trip between the two countries is very exhausting, not to mention that it's also a bit expensive. This means that when Jean-Luc leaves, he won't be coming back anytime soon. As far as we know, it took 6 years for that to happen. That's sad because he wants to stay close to Bluey, maybe because he's in love. But even if he is, a 12-year-old child has to obey their parents. Even if Jean-Luc wants to stay in Australia, he can't. And that's why it's so sad, because he will have to say goodbye to Bluey at some point and wait a long time to see her again. Wow, this little dog's life really isn't easy. Will their love work out? Love. Let's be honest, Jean-Luc will be Bluey's first kiss for sure. We know that many of you prefer Mackenzie, but that's okay. This is one of the examples on our list today. Let's remember the episode Barky Boats. Calypso explains that at 12 years old, feelings grow and transform. She was talking about Captain and Mia, but she was also talking about Bluey and Mackenzie in the future. Yes, but your first boyfriend may not be your future husband. Frisky and Bosco know that very well. Bluey planted a tree next to Jean-Luc. She never forgot him. Jean-Luc himself only learned English to talk to Bluey, probably to confess his feelings. And in the future, they reunite in the shade of the tree they planted. That's very romantic, don't you agree? It's very possible that Bluey and Jean-Luc kiss under that tree, and that would be one of the most beautiful stories in the entire series. It's a shame that in the end, Jean-Luc's parents call him back, and the Labrador family has to travel back to Canada once again. Jealousy. Another sad thing in Jean-Luc's life will be the jealousy he might feel toward Mackenzie. Everyone knows that the little dog is indeed in love with Bluey, but we've already explained that Jean-Luc, unlike Mackenzie, can't spend much time with the main character. When he finds out that Mackenzie exists and that Bluey has feelings for him, of course the Labrador will get angry, cry, and maybe even argue with Bluey because of jealousy, but there's nothing that can be done. The evidence that Roxy, Bluey's daughter, is Mackenzie's child is very strong. Will Jean-Luc be very sad about losing Bluey's heart to someone else? Of course he will, but Bluey is also a show that talks about difficult things. Family. Jean-Luc will have to make a choice, and this choice is very difficult. Saying goodbye to someone. The day will come when Jean-Luc will be an adult. He will probably be able to live in Australia without depending on his parents. The problem is that Jean-Luc's entire life is in Canada. His family, his friends, everything he knows most in the world. If he wants to live in Australia, he will have to say goodbye to all of that. But if he can't, he will have to say goodbye to Bluey. The choice is difficult. He will have to make it at some point, and when that day comes, it will be a sad day. What will his choice be? We still don't know, but until then, stay with us.
If you liked this video, there are 2 more ready on the screen. Just click and keep watching with us. Thanks, and see you soon.